Dallas, get ready. The Buchanan'S Buchamion is pulling up October 11th for the ultimate Mexico versus Colombia watch party and after party at Texas Live.
We're talking music, bucanita cocktails, free swag, and the opportunity to submit your entry to the goal celebration dance contest for a chance to win tickets to the FIFA World Cup 2026.
We'll be leading the party in Buchanan'S VIP section with DJ Aviglo spinning and a special mariachi performance. It's ritmo over rivalry, and everyone's invited.
21 and up? Join Buchanan'S for a celebration that's unapologetically Latino and unmistakably Dallas. Don't miss your chance to experience our VIP section just for our fans.
Hello and welcome back to the Give Me Go. I'm your coach Reynoso here with my boy
Soltero. What's up, y'all?
It's the international break and we're here to preview both Mexico and the USA's international break matchups, the team selections, what to expect going into this October window, which is very, very important in the build-up to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. So subscribe to the channel. These are our two top teams, Mexico and the USA. Let's start off with Mexico, who will be facing off against Colombia on Saturday, October 11th in Arlington, AT&T Stadium. And then they will follow that game up against Ecuador, October 14th at the Estadio Akron, playing in Mexico. Two South American teams that Mexico will be confronting, while also missing some important pieces this time around due to injuries. Just to note them out, let's start off with Whisky, torn ACL midweek in the Champions League. Looks like he's going to miss out on the World Cup.
Yeah. What's interesting, though, is we had highlighted, would Whisky even really be a starter for Mexico or just kind of remain on the fringe in a rotational role? I guess it just kind of cements the idea that he just, won't feature at all for Mexico. I think disappointing for him for sure, but I'm not too worried considering just how Mexico have played without him, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he represented more so the promise of what we could have had in that position, because he was on the fringe this whole past year. Sometimes he'd start, sometimes he'd be on the bench. But I did highlight him as one of those players that could potentially build out a role for himself as if he had a good year at club. And that's the disappointing part, is that he was having a good year at club, man. Copenhagen really thrived off of having him be an offensive player in that fullback position. And he was cooking with his assists and his involvement offensively for this team. So big loss for Mexico and Copenhagen. And yeah, a part of me is just going to wonder what would his evolution have looked like in a World Cup year. It's a tough loss, man. So sending my best to Whisky as he recovers from this injury. Where we also do have injuries is up front with our best forward and Raul Jimenez, and then with one of our best midfielders and Edson Alvarez too.
Yeah, and I think for me, that's probably the biggest point going into this international window is how is Mexico going to fare without their star, the only guy who's seemingly scoring every single game, Raul Jimenez. This is a huge opportunity for Santi to kind of settle everybody's nerves if he can just really show out up top for Mexico in this window, bro. But then there's also fringe players who can really step up. There's the opportunities there. We've highlighted the winger positions being pretty weak, but, Quiñones is here, Berterame is here, Chino Huerta is here. Can they finally have a true offensive impact for Mexico? This is the opportunity here to really showcase that they can impact the game without the star of Raul Jimenez.
Yeah, I think I have less concerns about our offense in comparison to our midfield with the players that we're going to be missing, because yes, we won't have Raul Jimenez, who's been a star for us for the past year. But I am excited with Santi having scored that goal against South Korea, a banger. Can he continue that flow with the Mexican national team? Now Raul isn't there to kind of steal his spotlight, steal his light. This is a huge opportunity for him. I like calling up Quiñones, who tore up the Saudi League last year. Yeah. I like Berterame. Yeah, I think the pieces are actually kind of fun in terms of what we can potentially see for this Mexico team. I do worry a lot about the lack of chemistry that these players have with each other. Whereas when you have Raul Jimenez up top, it feels like everyone can work off of him. I'm worried to see who kind of takes that role up top and is the go-to guy, man, because it feels like they all have their own personalities. Do they really mesh? That's a scary part for us offensively.
That's why I'm actually genuinely worried for Mexico, because I can't envision this offense working without Jimenez. I really can't. Not only is he scoring goals, but, dude, he's involved pretty much every time Mexico goes forward. His build-up play is fantastic. He's honestly a really underrated passer. I just think Jimenez pretty much does it all for Mexico specifically. You don't have that now. So I don't see this offense really working. And when you consider the teams that they're going to be playing, especially when you look at that Ecuador game, who have a notoriously very strong defense,
very strong.
I just don't see Mexico scoring. I'm going to be completely honest.
That's going to be, I'm not expecting much from us offensively. And it's kind of a point that I want to bring to the viewers, to the fans of this Mexican national team going into this window. I think context is going to really, really matter for us.
Yeah.
Because I can already tell you how this window is going to end for Mexico fans. Mexico's mid. We're ass. Are we going to get grouped at the World Cup? This team is terrible. Fire Aguirre. I would bet a good amount of money that it's probably going to end like that after we face off against two very good South American teams, missing some of our most important players. Dare I say 3 out of our top 5, bro. Yeah. Because we won't have Raul Jimenez, but then as I mentioned, I'm more worried about the midfield, man, because for as important as Raul Jimenez is up top, Edson is that in the midfield, man. Yep. And he's been our go-to general there for years now. Injured, he's out. And when we had Starboy Gilberto Mora starting for us at the Gold Cup, igniting this Mexican national team, he's busy cooking it up over at the U20 World Cup right now. He won't be with us as well. So 2 out of our 3 starting midfielders at the 2026 FIFA World Cup won't be in attendance. You mentioned it's a huge window for Santi Jimenez. It's an even bigger one for Marcelo Ruiz, man. I think it's just time to step it up in the midfield.
And that's what's frustrating is you won't get even creativity in the midfield with Jimenez out, but Mora out too. Aguirre's going to have to just go defensive. Ruiz, Lira, I've been expecting maybe he plays Pineda, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes Charlie Rodriguez, for example, or Romo as well. So I just think this is going to be an interesting window for Mexico. Basically missing all of their X-Factor players, bro. All of them. Jimenez, Mora, and Edson Alvarez are the key to basically the entire central play for Mexico. Yeah. It's completely gone now. So I see Mexico having a very defensive window and just fighting. But the thing is, Mexico's very good at fighting. It's one of their key attributes under Aguirre. So I'm not expecting Mexico to really get destroyed by Colombia or Ecuador, but I just don't expect us getting any good results, maybe the way we could have if we had a fully healthy squad. Yeah,
that's my thing. I could see us maybe getting a victory against Ecuador, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe getting a victory against Colombia if we're at full strength. With this squad, I mean, obviously our highlight is our defense. They're all here. Malagon, Montes, Vasquez as center backs, and then I think fullback pairing will be Gallardo and Jorge Sanchez, who do get criticized a lot, but I think defensively that's our best bets.
Yeah.
We play best when they are in the back line defensively. I think Aguirre is going to lean into that and just see if we can get anything out of our offense, man, even just one goal here or there. Let's talk predictions for Ecuador and Colombia. For Ecuador, I don't know if we can break their defense, man.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening without Mexico's key central figures. One interesting thing about Ecuador is they didn't call up Hincapié, right, who is, their captain center back. And they also did not call up Moises Caicedo, who is probably the best box-to-box midfielder in the world right now. Yeah. So those are 2 huge defensive pieces missing for Ecuador. So maybe because of those absences, Mexico can have a little bit more leeway offensively. Maybe we get a goal. One thing about Ecuador is they also don't score that many goals. And that's why I'm excited to see this, because I think Mexico can scrap. Maybe we get a 1-goal win, but I honestly could see a draw happening in this match.
Yeah, bro, you're telling me it's a questionable Mexico offense against a questionable Ecuador offense, bro? This is 0-0 written all over it. Yeah. How many did they get in a row?
That's the thing, bro. I think it was 8 or maybe even 9 nils they got in the CONMEBOL qualifying.
Jesus,
so yeah, man. We might just get another one.
I'm going 0-0 on this one. Yeah. 0-0, a stinker at AT&T Stadium. Actually, this one's at the Akron. Against Colombia, I do see goals. I just don't know if I see them for us.
Colombia have one of the most brilliant offenses in all of South America, honestly. I'd say it goes Argentina, then I think I'm going to put Colombia. As far as just pure offenses are concerned. Brazil's struggling right now. Uruguay's weird. And Ecuador notoriously are just a very defensive team. So I'm going to put Colombia as having one of the best offenses in all of the Americas. Mexico's going to have to contain that. I think they'll do a good job at that. It's why I don't really see us getting destroyed against Colombia, but I just don't see us winning this match. I really don't see it.
This is where my Mexico fan, I can't predict the loss here. I just can't. I'm sorry. But I can't predict the win. I'm going 2-2 on some friendly vibe shit.
That'd be fun.
Sometimes the defense can be a little bit more open when it's a friendly. And I think we're going to see a show for those fans at AT&T Stadium. Give me a 2-2 against this Colombia side. But I do want to reiterate to anybody watching this isn't me not having hope. This isn't me giving up on this team and saying we're going to be trash. This is me reacting to the current situation we have, mainly due to injuries or Gilberto Mora being at the U20 World Cup, because I do think this team at full strength against a full strength Colombia or Ecuador in a competitive setting, say at the World Cup, especially at home, I think we can beat them.
Yeah,
I think we can beat these teams.
That's what's frustrating about not having Raul is I do think there's going to be moments where his clinicality would be so crucial to have in these matches. We're not going to be able to see it. That's okay. That's why I'm just going to be looking at that midfield scrap and that defensive scrap, because if we can fight in that regard against both Colombia and Ecuador, then I'd feel really good about facing them in the World Cup if we have a healthy Mora, Alvarez, and Raul Jimenez. I would actually feel very, very good. So, yeah, I think a full healthy squad, Mexico could actually go toe-to-toe with these sides.
I think it's a win if we can tie any of these games and just lose competitively. I don't want to see us lose by like more than 2 goals. That would be worrisome. Let's just lose competitively. That's fine with me. And if we get a tie, I think that's a victory for us given the circumstances here. Real quick, let's just touch on the Mexico U20 team. I just want to report what's going on.
Oh, please.
Round of 16, going to face off against the host, Chile, on Tuesday, as they made it out of basically the group of death in the U20 World Cup. They defeated Morocco 1-0. Gilberto Mora getting assists and goals in the group stage against Brazil, against Spain, and now Morocco. An incredible performance by a player that I was curious to know your thoughts on. Is he the best youth prospect that Mexico has ever had?
Dang.
Essentially, is he better than what Gio was?
Right. That's exactly where my mind went. And what I loved about Gio is that he stepped up for Mexico, not just for the senior team, but at the World Cup.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to need to see Mora do.
Okay.
I need Mora to step up for Mexico on the biggest stage. If he does that next summer, then I would say he's better than what Gio was at basically the same age.
That's true, man. Because even at the Youth World Cups, Gio won one. That's what's crazy. So Gilberto would have to win this one.
Shit.
He's got the Gold Cup under his resume now.
Right.
But yeah, I think Mora, in terms of what he's done, I don't think has matched Gio. But in terms of the potential, it might be more than what Gio's peak could have been. Arguably, people are calling him the Mexican Pedri in the midfield. The potential that he has,
yes,
it's become very realistic, and at least in the sense that he could be shipped off to Real Madrid, a Barcelona, a big name club, and potentially be able to hold his own. That's where we're at with Gilberto Mora now, which is crazy for a 16-year-old. Curious to know, what league do you think Gilberto Mora would best be suited for in Europe when he does make that move?
Dang. I mean, my initial thought, it really is La Liga.
I was going to say Bundesliga.
It really is La Liga. I hope he doesn't go to Madrid or Barcelona, but this will probably go if he has honestly a very successful World Cup. You know, Madrid love building off of hype, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I really do see him as being a very good passer, and Spain really accentuates passing play.
Damn. Yeah, I like La Liga for sure. I think it should be La Liga or Bundesliga because of the speed and the way the styles of both those leagues I think is really good. I don't know if he's ready for the physicality of the Prem. That'd be a big step. But fuck it, man. I mean, send him off anywhere, bro. I feel like I feel like he can figure it out. I really do. Yeah. He's that talented. Right now, I think there's a lot of excitement around him. My pick would be Bundesliga and Dortmund. They know how to develop young players.
I like
They would give him the time, the responsibility, and then ship him off to a Barca, to Real Madrid if he plays at a really high level. Either way, man, what an exciting time for Mexico's youth as they face off against Chile in the round of 16 in the U20. Let's go on over to USA. Let's preview their international break as they're set to face off against Ecuador here in Austin at Q2 Stadium, and then also playing against the Socceroos, Australia, at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in Colorado. Let's talk about both these games, but more specifically about the U.S. men's national team, as Pochettino has had a very interesting call-up list Thoughts on this one? Is this one of the more better lists that you've seen him call up in recent memory?
Yes, but I'm still very apprehensive as to what we're actually going to see. I still haven't been convinced by a USA squad in over 2 years, essentially, at this point. So I'm just going to be looking at every single individual play, how the players react to what ultimately will be very physical opponents in Ecuador and Australia. Mentality has been a huge problem for this side. Our mentality is going to have to be on point against these opponents. So that's what I'm going to be really focusing on in this international window. Yes, I like the call-ups, but for me, I think it goes way beyond that, as for me wanting hope as to what we can do at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Looking at the squad, couple things that I want to see. So at the end of the window, Buchanan'z actually found success by using a back three. And it was the first time he had really used one, and I liked what it did. Our midfield has been very weak, so I like the fact that he was like, all right, let's just go 2 midfielders, and let's put in another third center back against basically a very old Tim Ream. I like that. It actually makes sense. Problem is Blackman has now injured, so he's not going to be there. So up comes Cameron Carter-Vickers, probably in that third position, if Pochettino even goes with a back three. I don't know what formation he's going to go with. So there's so many things to look at tactically with what Pochettino's going to do. Again, I really like the back three. I would like to see it again. We have the return of Anthony Robinson on that left side. That's super exciting because when I look at that left back, left wing back position, there is nobody better than Anthony Robinson. He has to play every single second for the USA if we want to be successful. Sucks for Arfson because I do think he was one of the better new players that really shined this summer at the Gold Cup. Maybe somehow he gets put on the right-hand side,
cool, but as a depth piece, it's not a bad option.
It's not a bad option, absolutely. So that's really interesting. The midfield's pretty much the same. We add in Weston McKennie. Tyler Adams isn't here due to, I think he's expecting a child. So congratulations to Tyler Adams. It's really beautiful for him and his family.
It's the only reason I'll excuse a player not being here if he's not injured, man.
Absolutely. So we get McKennie. This is huge because realistically, he's an effective captain of this midfield. At his prime, he was one of the best midfielders in all of CONCACAF, but we haven't seen prime McKennie for like 18 months. So this is going to be a huge role for him to come back into and try and inspire and reinvigorate this midfield for the USA side. This is huge for him. And then alongside, we still have common names like Diego Luna is getting that call up, but then we have just guys we've seen before, Malik Tillman, for example, coming in. I like that if he could be used in a more creative midfield role. The front three is going to be the usual. Christian Pulisic. It should be Balogun. On the right, it should be Weah.
Yeah, I like the return of core names, man. I feel like this is more so the lineup I wanted to see for the Gold Cup just a few months later. Because I love seeing Anthony Robinson return. Obviously, he was injured back then, but I love that he's back. I think when you talk about the skill level of certain U.S. men's national team players, he's one of the few players that can actually chat to Pulisic. I think he's that good in the fullback position at his best. At his peak, he was one of the best fullbacks in the Prem last year with Fulham. I just think he needs to get back into his form coming off of an injury that kept him out for a while. We might not see his best version this window, but for me, it's just the involvement. Just be part of the camps, get reintegrated in the billet to a massive tournament in the World Cup. And then Weston McKennie, same thing goes for him, bro. I want to see the same thing. It's good to see his name on here. Even Matt Turner getting the call back up, which is nice, as he was part of that, one of the better sides of the USA in the past couple of years. Shout out Aiden Morris. I've been hearing about him as he's been playing very well for Middlesbrough in the championship, as they put up good numbers. They're winning games, and he seems to be an integral part of that team. Same goes for Tanner Tessman with Lyon, getting results there too. I like that. I like that Pochettino has finally noted the form of these players in Europe and rewarded them with time with the national team. So I'm interested to see how they line up, because this is pretty different from what we saw last time. New names, bigger names coming into the mix. Does he trust the guys of the summer and Diego Luna, for example, or is it the new guard that kind of gets their spots back into the lineup and gets that token of confidence against a tough Ecuador side and a really good Australia team too?
And that's kind of goes back to my first point of concern for this USA side, is that these were the guys that got grouped at the Copa America. So yes, it is a return to form as far as names and players that are doing well at club level in Europe. but it just means nothing if they're not tactically put together correctly. And that's why this is a huge window for the players, for Pochettino. Yes, the club names attached to these guys is as good as it gets, but it has failed dramatically in the recent past. So something drastic is going to have to change within these guys, and it has to happen now. It's a perfect opportunity against very good opponents in Ecuador and Australia, but I'm not immediately giddy about what could happen. I'm still just remaining hopeful because we just haven't seen these guys play really good football in 2 years.
Yeah, I get that. I think I'm a little giddy because outside of the players that are injured, who else could he have called up? That's been my thing with Pochettino is usually there's someone that's missing. I'm like, why isn't he here? But this time around, I feel like, yeah, maybe there's one player, but I feel like he finally did a good job of calling the people up that deserve to have been called up outside of injured players.
Yes.
And I think that's a good step forward for Pochettino, who selection-wise had a disaster class in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, let's see what that actually amounts to now.
Let's see. That's why this is an exciting window, because this might give us a glimpse as to what this team can do at the World Cup. If this is the beginning of that road, and if the road is short because the World Cup is coming up very quick,
sidewalk, bro.
It's coming up real quick. If we can perform well now with this group of players, then I think the November window is going to be incredibly exciting. That March window is going to be even better. But it has to start with good results now.
Yeah, and that's my thing. I don't have as much of excuses for the USA as I do with Mexico, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I feel like what we'll see from the USA will be a closer thing to the final product that we'll see at the World Cup in comparison to Mexico. So this game against Ecuador is, I think, an important one because lineup-wise, name-wise, I think they can match up with Ecuador on paper. I just have no clue what I'm going to see on the pitch, man. It's gonna be so different now. What does it amount to? You still have an on-fire Pulisic, regardless of that penalty. On the field, he is on fire, on form. I like what I'm seeing from him. Tim Weah, Alex Sendejas, he's been doing really well at club level. Does he get more confidence, more minutes? He had a good stint with the USA last month. And in the midfield, who does he even start? Who does he even start in that midfield?
True. Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at that match against Ecuador, it's so frustrating that there is two versions of USA. There's on paper and then there's recent form. On paper, I do think this USA side can go up against Ecuador. But when you look at recent results, dude, USA is not scoring against top quality teams. We do not score. So considering that Ecuador are one of the more defensive teams in all of the Americas, I think it's going to be a very tight match. And it's one that I don't think will actually win based off of recent form. But hey, I'm hoping that we'll see just something completely different. And if that's the case, then I do think we can actually get a result because on paper, we do stack up against this Ecuadorian side.
Is it enough to get the result? What's your prediction here?
For my genuine prediction, just paper or whatever,
Come on, man. You got it in you. Say it.
I think at best it'll be a draw. At best.
Yeah.
But no Caicedo, no Hincapié.
Yeah, man.
Maybe we take advantage of that. Maybe.
Yeah. Q2 Stadium, ACL weekend in Austin.
Good vibes.
I don't know, man. Let me have some fun here. I'll go Ecuador wins the game 1-0.
All right.
I think Ecuador wins the one. I think they'll win the game 1-0. I think their defense is going to show out.
I just want
but it's going to be tight. I think it'll be tight though. The thing is, Ecuador on paper right now is better than both Mexico and the USA, so they should win these games.
They should.
If you think about it, so
They
it's not
really
the worst
should.
thing. Australia's an interesting one because they've been playing very well in Asia now. Since they fired their old coach, they inserted Popovich, and he's been great for them, matching up to the top teams in Asia as they've secured World Cup qualification. I'm excited for this matchup because where do they actually rank in comparison to a quote-unquote top CONCACAF team or big name at the very least?
Yeah.
Is it the same level now, or is it maybe even better, bro, for an Australian team that has their own narrative and is trying to trump those older versions of themselves that seems to be limited, but now might be building up to something special for this World Cup?
Yeah, this Australian side's really interesting because it's a lot of new faces, or at least a lot of young faces that have been integrated into the side over these last 2 years. The effective result on the pitch is Australia is still a very scrappy team. They're still a very defensive team that prioritizes physicality over technique. And I kind of expect that against this USA side. I think it's going to be a very scrappy game. Australia will size up very well physically. I don't expect Australia to generate a lot of opportunities, especially when I look at this USA defense. It's a decent defense, and Australia's offense really, really isn't that good. So when I look at all of Australia's attributes, despite the USA's form, we should beat this team. We really should. And actually, anything outside of a win against Australia, I think would be a disaster for this USA side. Again, despite our recent form. So I'm expecting a win against Australia.
Yeah, I think it'll be high scoring. I think the defense will be open here. I went 2-2 on this one. 2-2, back and forth type of game. Australia kind of surprising, turning heads at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. But the USA getting on the board with multiple goals. Thing is, you're right. They should win this game. I think the USA is better ultimately, or should prove that they are the better team here. Would be worrisome if they lose this match in comparison to the Ecuador one.
It would be really, really bad. Unless we completely change the entire lineup, but even then we should get the draw. Like losing against Australia, again, no disrespect. Australia is just they're not a top 2 side in Asia. We should beat Australia. If we don't, then we're gonna have a very troublesome World Cup.
If you beat Ecuador, though, I think that might be one of the biggest wins for the USA since even before the Copa America, man.
Dude,
so that would be huge. And if you beat Ecuador, you're good enough to beat Australia. 2 wins in this window could really turn whatever it is that's kind of holding USA back right now. I think 2 wins here could do a lot for this team. Dude, and I'm not saying it's impossible. I think it is there to be had. Maybe this is finally the moment where you see Pochettino rise to the occasion, make good technical decisions, and utilize these players in ways that they should be utilized. Like, I do think there could be something good waiting for the USA.
I'm hoping. Genuinely, I am hoping. I just don't have the confidence to say that it will happen.
I can't say it with my chest.
That's so frustrating. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm hoping.
Folks, let us know your predictions for these matches, both the Mexico and the USA games. What do you think will happen? Big games for both these teams in the build-up to the most beautiful tournament in the world, the 2026 FIFA World Cup. We'll see you guys very soon. Peace.